Hi, so in this video I'm going to be going over and explaining this material that you see here in hopefully relatively good depth, to the point where you can generally understand everything that's going on. This isn't a tutorial. I'm not going to be telling you this is how you make this, connect this node to this node, but I'm going to be explaining how it works so that you can replicate this or something similar if that's what you're looking to do. Alright, let's begin. So there's generally three things that are built up in this material. If you saw, you might have just seen it there. There's the parallax effect, the coloring and the gradient, and then the ambient occlusion, and I guess the top layer details, but that's more of a final thing. So we'll start by going over the parallax effect. And the parallax effect it's built up of three layers. The first layer is the foremost layer, and that is the grid. It's a very simple kind of surface. It's just, little notches and that kind of thing. Then the second layer and the far back layer is the stars, and the third layer is the numbers, which actually sits in between the two. All of these have to use texture 2D objects, as it's the only surface that a parallax image can utilize. However, I've actually nested functions, as a lot of the processes that I'm using are all self-contained. They're very easy to just go, okay, well, this is all just the one thing. We have the height ratio, which determines how close something is. So for example, the grid is 1 point away from the front, and that allows it to have a little bit of a 3D effect, so that it looks like those nibbly bits are kind of poking out at us. There's also a section for the tiling, which allows you to basically control the tiling ratio of everything dynamically, which is really fun. Anyways, after going through all of that, it will then produce a pattern like this, which gives us the parallax effect in white, slips into grays and things, and then everything else in black. Then the stars are very simple. It's the exact same thing with a different texture object and a different texture sample, but it's also using a panner, which is very, very common. If you've done much with a panner, then you have almost definitely seen this combination of nodes before. And that gives us that starry effect, which looks quite nice at long distances. Yeah. Then the final one is we have a mask using this texture object for where the numbers are actually placed, as they're always in the same point, not in different points, but the numbers themselves do change. Then we take a flipbook animation and we add it to the parallax effect after the layering. So this gets us the height and where things are, and normally it would just be that, but because we're adding the flipbook thing on top of it, it then still keeps the parallax effect, which I didn't think would work, but it did, and I'm really happy that it does. because it's quite nice. And again, this is just a flipbook animation. There's 9 different frames of the one like material texture, and yeah. Then we combine all of that together using add nodes, and then pass it through 2 things: the emission map and where we go to color it. So that's really simple, as we take the light value, which is a parameter, so it can be changed in different material instances, and we multiply it by the white, and that gives us the like blue tinted kind of grid and stars and numbers, which you can see here. Then we lap it through the, let me just stop, linear gradient, which we're getting from both the light and the dark. And we lap it through here, and that allows us to kind of tweak how strong we want the gradient to be, which is very useful, all things considered. Then what else? Then we also have a top layer function, which is like an added details. It's what gives us this keypad effect here and this little symbol here. It can be added in the material instance. So if you want there to be like a screen that always is displaying something different, all you need to do, and this is the great thing, all you need to do is then create, oh right, it's in here, is just create a little thing like this, and that's it. That's all you need to do. Depending on like the shape and design of your screen and the UV layout, it's as simple as that. And you can even set this to have its own flipbook animation, or yeah, it's really awesome. Then we just multiply that by the light value and then add that to the base color, and also add it to the emission color, because you could just have like a light source at the front of it and then call it a day, but this is dynamic and changes, and I think that's really awesome. What else? I think that's that. Cool. The Fresnal. So on 3D objects, on curved surfaces instead of just flat ones, it will produce a Fresnal like this, which is a combination of the light color and it also being slightly tinted. It should be 0.839, not 1. But okay. There we go. Much better. Now the point of that is to, it means if you have a curved screen, it will be like still lit up like on the edges, and it'll still give us this AO effect if it's like curved, which is a really nice touch, because then going into our ambient occlusion, this is by default just set to empty. However, this little pulsating effect that we have around the edges is all run through some mathematical magicry, where we get the time and just a whole bunch of really complicated math. Here's, I'll zoom in on it, and that way you can get a good look. It was written by a friend of mine. They were helping out and they suggested that there be a pulsating effect around the border, and I'm like, that's great. I have no idea how to make that, and I kind of want to just be finished with this, but that's great. And so they're like, look, I'll help. And yeah. So that leads into our AO strength, where we're passing this kind of, it allows us to kind of tweak how strong this border effect is, like per instance. And we're just feeding that into the AO and then also combining that into the emissive layer so that it produces light. Then I think final details is there's this like little like dirt and roughness map that I have on there, which catches light at different angles, which is really nice and pretty. And I think that's about it. Yeah. In any case, thank you so much. So that's the base. Now the instance itself is still very easy. You can adjust the colors. So if I just shrink, here we go. So you can change the dark, and the reason why this isn't just like a dark grey and then calling it a day is that you can blend between colors. So for example, blending between red and blue, it still gives you a purple, which is really pretty. You can adjust, again, gotta undo that, it's gonna hurt my eyes. There we go. You can adjust the tiling, so you can make it really big if it's something small, or really small if it's, you know. It just gives an added layer of adjustability. Now, with and without the AO can make a big difference, as you can see. But yeah, if something doesn't have an AO mask, then that's not the end of the world. Like, it still looks quite nice, but it definitely adds a lot more depth. Same with the details. Yeah. I think that's about it. I don't think there's anything that I haven't gone over. And if you have any questions or anything like that, I would be happy to answer them in the comments. In any case, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day.